as you mentioned, Francis, we haven't seen at any point the whole reason that we have checks and balances in the United States, the reason why we have independent agencies such as the FCC, is to not be political, is to not engage, to not be friends of the president to the extent that whatever he urges, in this instant, to remove a comedian, a talk show host, from his job is completely unprecedented. And it should be alarming to all of us. In the United States, we have, based on literally our First Amendment, which is free speech. And that is currently under attack. And everyone should be alarmed by that, because when we start removing individuals from airwaves, we're going and heading down a very, very, very dark, slippery slope.
And Imani, in this climate, should networks be protecting entertainers from political pressure or protect their own profits? What's the question? That's the big question here.
I think it's a big question, but I think the big answer is that, as we saw in recent times, I'll even go back to 2020, where we saw corporations, we saw media companies in particular responding to, at the moment, the murder of George Floyd, also that followed the murder of Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, Breonna Taylor in Tennessee. And so we saw where corporate responsibility was interacting politically and socially, and there were providing comments. We also saw a backslide of that after 2020. And by 2021, we saw a number of corporations backing off of some of that corporate responsibility to engage. Profits are always going to be number one. We know that. But I think Disney really saw in the last 6 days, as was mentioned in the package earlier, they saw the pressure. They felt the pressure from the public. And whether it be the millions of people who canceled their Disney and Hulu subscriptions, not necessarily in protest of Jimmy Kimmel, but definitely letting them know that their voices will be heard. We also saw it in the case of, for example, a company like Target. And Target, when they backed off of their DEI initiatives earlier this year, when Donald Trump came into for his second presidential term, that we saw that Target has faced severe backlash, and there's been boycotts from that company, and we saw that the CEO is actually stepping down. So you can be focused on profits, but you can also have morals and values and standards that you stand for.
And so another question is it dangerous? Are we going down a dangerous slope when business interests begin aligning with political agendas?
I think when that political agenda, Francis, is one that wants to, as Donald Trump mentioned, everything from over the weekend at Mr. Kirk's funeral and celebration of life, that he is going after his enemies, that he is not taking any sort of high road, that if you have been someone like a Letitia James in New York, or even in Adam Schiff in California, he is coming after you. He is going to remove people from positions of power, and he's going to prosecute them.
And then there's another question about the other players, advertisers. They play a big role. Do they have the power, or should they have the power, to say who stays on air, and particularly in a heated political discourse like we have now?
Well, it's so interesting because I do like to sort of remind people, and if I do ask if people heard the remarks that Jimmy Kimmel made. I know that was the lead into this conversation, and the fact that he will be his show will be returning tonight. But when I think about the words that were used, and whether he was saying them in jest or again just offering commentary, which is what comedians and late night talk show hosts do. We also saw this coming off of Jimmy Kimmel removed off of the backs of Stephen Colbert and his show being canceled and removed from the CBS network. And I think it's alarming when advertisers do have a play, they do have a role, they do have the ability to say, again, with their corporate responsibility, where do you align with? What networks do you want to align with brands, whether those be corporate brands or personal brands? You get to decide. And a lot of times we're seeing right now that decision is alarming to many people, because it does fly in the face of our First Amendment, which allows people the freedom of speech.
We have less than 30 seconds, Imani. Are we seeing the erosion of First Amendment here in the United States?
quickly in real time. And I think that's something that we should all be very concerned about. We are moving in an authoritarian path. We are moving towards fascism. I read Project 2025. I was very clear in reading that and understanding what the path that the Trump administration was putting forward. And in that document, and in one of those tenets, was aspects of controlling media. So I think we should all be paying attention. I think we should all be aware. I encourage individuals, if you haven't read Project 2025, that you should. You should engage. The document has been up for almost 2 years now. It's widely available for those to engage with, and it details how the media, politics, how they intertwine, how they intersect, and most importantly, how they impact all of us.